Welcome back to statistics chapter. Here we have exercise 14.2 third problem. The following data gives the distribution of total monthly household expenditure of 2,200 families of Gummadi Dala village. Find the modal monthly expenditure of the families. Also, find the mean monthly expenditure. Expenditure in rupees, number of families. 1000 to 1500 rupees, 24 families. 1500 to 2000 rupees, 40 families. 2000 to 200 and 2500 rupees, 33 families. 2500 to 3000, 28 families. 3000 to 3500, 30 families. 3500 to 4000, 22 families. 4000 to 4500 rupees, 16 families. 4500 to 5000, 7 families. This is the information he has given. Based on this information or based on this data, we have to find the modal monthly expenditure of the families, and also we have to find the mean monthly expenditure. Here we have the solution. So the data what he has given in rows, we are writing in columns. Expenditure, we are writing as the class intervals. Number of families, we are taking as the frequencies. If we observe all the frequencies and class intervals, 1000 to 1500, 24 families, 1500 to 2040 families, 2000 to 2500, 33 families, 2500 to 3028 families, 3000 to 3530 families, 3500 to 4022 families, 4000 to 4516 families, 4500 to 5007 families. Like that, here we have written as two columns. After writing as columns, from the frequencies, what is the maximum frequency we are observing here? From all the frequencies, the maximum frequency is 40. Since the maximum frequency is 40, the corresponding class to the maximum frequency is the modal class. In that way, the 1500 to 2000 rupees class is the modal class. From this modal class, the lower boundary 1500 is taken as the L value, which is the lower boundary value. And next, preceding to the modal class frequency, 24 is F0. And succeeding to the modal class frequency, 33 is the F2. And height of the class, the difference between the upper boundary and the lower boundary is the class width or height of the class. If you observe all the class intervals, the difference between the upper boundary and lower boundary is 500. Height of the class is 500. So like that, modal class frequency F1 is equals to 40, and the modal class is 1500 to 2000, and the L is equals to 1500, and preceding class F0 is equals to 24, succeeding class F2 is equals to 33, and the height of the class is equals to 500. If you substitute all those things in mode formula, then we will get the modal monthly expenditure. So what is the modal monthly expenditure? We can observe by the action solution. Please observe here. Yeah. Modal is equals to L plus minus F0 by F1 minus F0 minus F2 into F1 is equals to F1 is equals to 14 and 12. F0 is equals to 24, 32. F0 is F2 is equals to 32. Class which is equals to 500 and lower boundary is equals to 15. So one second thing observe here. 3, 25, 33. So frequency, modal class frequency 40, preceding frequency 24, succeeding frequency 33, and the height 500. Then substituting all the values, mod is equals to L 1500 plus F1 14 minus F0 24 5 minus 24 minus so 1500 plus 16 by minus 7 into 500 1600 plus 5 go for cancellation. $1,500 plus 80, 800 by so 800 by so 1,500 plus 8,000 by 23. So 8,000 by 23, if you go for cancellation, there we are getting the 347.826. 1 minute. So 1,500 plus 800. Add both the things, 1,500 plus 347.826. By that we are getting here 847 point. So if we close that one to the two decimal places, we will get the 8.83. So like that here we have formed the model class, model model expenditure expenditure is equals to 1. About the model expenditure. And next, mean expenditure. Mean expenditure. Then mean expenditure. Here we have the solution for the main expenditure. So as usual, we have written in column. Here for the model class, we need only 2 columns. For the mean, here we need total 6 columns. So the data we are arranging in 6 columns, that is required to the solution. So class intervals and frequencies, we have discussed about that one in the previous concept. Then coming to the xi, xi is the mid value of the each class interval. If you observe the first class interval, 1000 to 1500, the mid value is 1250. Then next class mid value is 1500 to 2000. Next class interval 1500 to 2000, the mid value is 1750. Then 2000 to 2500, mid value is 2250. and 2500 to 3000, the mid value is 2750. 3000 to 3500 mid value is 3250. 3500 to 4000 mid value is 3750. 4000 to 4500 mid value is 4250. 4500 to 5000 mid value is 4550. Like that, here we have found the mid value. Mid value we take as a class mark. So we already discussed to find the, what is that one? So we already found the finding the way of mid value. Once again, we check the process. Then file. Sorry. So to find the mid value, what we are doing, please observe here. Take the first class interval 1000 to 1500, 1000, 1000 plus 1500 100 5. So if you take the average of the class lower boundary and upper boundary, then we will get there 2500 class mid value. So by, so 2 1s are 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4, 2 5s are 10, 0. Finally we got here 1250 is the 1250 is the mid value of the first class, that is 1000 to 1500. So take the 1250 is the class mark. Then go for next one. The next class, for the next class 1500 to 2000 by 2, which is equals to 3500, which is equals to 3500 by 2. If you go for cancellation, there we are getting here 2 1s, 2 7s, 2 5s, 2 0s. 1750 is the next class. Midpoint we are taking that one as the class mark. Then next class midpoint 2000 to 2500, which is equals to 5, which is equals to 4000, 500 by 2. For cancellation, 2 5s. 2250 is the next class midpoint next class class mark. Then next one, so next one 2500 to 3000, 2500 to 3000, 2500 plus 3000 by 2, which which is equals to 5,500. Sorry, 5,500 is equals to 2 twos are 4, 1, 2 sevens are 14, 2 fives are 10, 0. Yeah, 2,750 is the next class midpoint or class mark of 2,500 3,000. Similarly, 3,000, 3,500 class mark or class midpoint. Take the average of 3,500 to 4,000. By that we will get the 3,550. Similarly, take the lower boundary 4,000, 4,500. So why to skip that one? I will show that one too. Okay. 1,000 plus 5, which is equals to 6,500. 5. So, 3,000, 4, 5, 10, 3,250. The next class, 3,500. Sorry. 3,500 plus 4,000. 4,000 by 2, which is equals to 7,000 by 2, which is equals to 3,000 is two threes, two sevens, two fives. So 3,750 is the next class midpoint class mark of the 3,500, 4,000. Then last two classes we have here. We are observing those two. Yeah. 4,000 by plus 4,000 by 2, 9,500 by 2, which is equals to 4,000. 2 fours are 8, 2 sevens are 14, 2 fives are 10, 4,700. Sorry. Yeah, 4 plus 4 is 8. Yeah, 8,500 by 2. So 2 ones are 2 fours are 8, 2 twos are 4, 2 twos are 4, 2 fives are 10, 2 zeros are. So we will get here 4,250. That is next class midpoint or class mark. So class mark of 4,000, 4,050 is 4,250. Next class, the final class marked here. So 4,500. plus 5,000 by 2, which is equals to 9,500. So which is equals to 4 are 8, 7 are 14, 5 are 0, 5 are 10, 0 are 0. Finally, we got here 4,750 is the class mark or midpoint for 4,500 and 5,000. So like that here we can find the class mark or midpoint by taking the average of lower boundary and upper boundary of the each class. So here onwards, when you want to find the class mark or midpoint, that is xi value, then take the lower boundary, upper boundary average, which means take the lower boundary plus take the upper boundary by adding after adding both the things, then divide the sum by 2. That is the average. As we have here only two observations, one is 1000, one more is 1500. Only lower boundary, upper boundary we are taking, and we are taking the average. That's why we are taking only 2. That's it about the taking the midpoint or class mark. So if we observe the data is really large in size. That is why what we are doing here, we are going for step deviation method as the data is large in size. In the step deviation, for the step deviation method, here we are not going for direct step deviation method. Step by step we will check. First we check the deviation method. Then after we go for step deviation. So first we take the deviation. To take the deviations, here we need one mean, assumed mean. So we are assuming the mean as the maximum class frequency midpoint, that is 1750. So assumed mean is here 1750. So from the assumed mean, so from the midpoint, if you subtract the assumed mean, that is called class, what is that? Deviation. So deviation is equals to reduce the data, only to reduce the data we are taking the deviation, not for other purpose. Deviation. So from the midpoint, that is xi, if we subtract the assumed mean, then we will get the deviation. By that the data will be reduced somewhat. So for the first data, 1250, from 1250, if we subtract 1750, then the data will be reduced to minus 500. Then next one, for next class, 1752, from the second class midpoint, that is 1715. From that 1750, if we subtract by that, we will get the deviation as 0. Then next class 2250, from 2250, if we subtract 1750 assumed mean, then we will get the deviation as 500. Then next class 2750. From 2750, if we subtract 1750, then We are getting there 1000 as the deviation. Then 3250 is the next class midpoint. From there, if we subtract 1700 1750, here we are getting 1500 as the 1500 as the next class deviation. 3750 from that, if we subtract 1750, there we are getting the deviation as 2000. 2000. Next class deviation 4250, that 1750. Then we are getting 2500 as the next class deviation. So the last class deviation 4750 minus 1750 is equals to, here we are getting 3000 as the next class deviation. Next class deviation. So like that, here we have found the deviations of the classes. So please check the deviations here. Minus 500, I'm sorry, minus 500 is the first class deviation. Next class deviation 0, the next class deviation 500, the next class deviation 1000, the next class deviation 1500, the next class deviation 2000, next 2500, 3000. If you observe the class midpoint to deviation, the data is reduced somewhat. Still the data is in large size. That is why what we are doing here, we are going for step deviation. So by step deviation, we can reduce the data little more. So how to reduce the data little more? Please observe here. We are taking the deviation, step deviation formula first of all. Ui is equals to di by h. So di value is here ready, that is xi minus a. So which is equals to di is equals to minus 500 by height of the class here. So as we have discussed in the previous concept, that is modal class. In the modal class, we have understood about the height of the class, that is the width of the class. So from the upper boundary, if we subtract the lower boundary, then we will get the width between the class, that is 500. That is the height of the class. So here we are writing as 500 is the height of the class. So 500 minus 500, which is equals to minus 1. the first class. Next 0 by 500, which is equals to 0. Next 500 by 500, 1, 1000 by 500, 2, 1500 by 500, 3, 2000 by 500, 4, 2500 by 500, 5, 3000 by 500, which is equals to what is that? 6. So like that, here we got the step deviations. So to find the step deviation, simple process, height of, from the deviation means the deviation, what is the deviation we got here? The deviation, if you divide by height of the class, that is 500, then we are getting their step deviation. If you observe the class midpoint to deviation, data is reduced, smaller size. From deviation to step deviation, if you observe, the data is little more reduced. Maximum it reduced to -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like the data is reduced here. After reducing the data here, once again, here we have to take the product of step deviation and frequency. So that 24 into -1 is equals to -4, 40 into 0 is equals to 0, 33 into 1 is equals to 33, 28 into 2 is equals to 56, 30 into 3 is equals to 90, 22 into 4 is equals to 88, 16 into 5 is equals to 80, 7 into 6 is equals to 44. Like that we find the product of the Fi and Ui values. So after finding the product of Fi and Ui values, we have to find the sum of the Fi and Ui. So by adding all these things, by doing the simplification or by doing the calculation of all these things, there we are getting the sum as the 365. And some of the frequencies also needed here. So already they gave the frequency of all the classes is 200, which means 200 samples. If we add all these things to, we are getting the sigma Fi value as the 200 also. Then mean of the monthly expenditure. Here we have formula to that one, A plus sigma Fi Ui by sigma Fi into height. If we substitute all those things, A is the assumed mean. We already got the assumed mean as 617, 150 we assumed it, plus Fi Ui value is 365, plus Fi value is 200 plus into height of the class is 500. If you substitute all those things, then we can easily find the solution. I'll show by that you will understand easily. So mean of the mean is equals to mean of the step deviation is equal to A plus sigma Fi Ui by sigma into I. So A is the assumed mean in the way we understood, that is 1700 plus. So Fi Ui value we got as 365. Frequency value we got as 200. 200, and the next height of the class we got as 500. So 1750 1750 plus, here if we make the calculation, there we are getting the solution as 912.5. 912.5. So if we add all both the things, then we are getting 3000.5. Here to 6. 9 plus 1 is 16. So 1 plus 1 is 2. This extra 2 is not equal. So 2600 2662.5 is the mean of the mean expenditure that is 2662.5. So like that, here we got the mean expenditure as the 2662.5 and mode expenditure is 1847.82. So modal monthly expenditure and mean monthly expenditure we got the families. So this is a solution to find the mean and mode. So I hope you got the more clarity regarding the mean and finding the mode solutions. So in that way, the further problems to having the mean and sometimes you can observe the mean, sometimes you can observe the mode. So whatever it may be, if there is mode or mean, according to the solution, observe the formulas and implement the values, find the formula required. What is the required information to the formula? That one, if you identify from the table, then that is easy to solve the mode or mean. So that's it. If there is any doubt regarding these problems, please comment me in the comment box. If you like this video, click the like button and share the video to your friends, families, relatives, and subscribe my channel. Your subscriptions are really boosting to me. If we have the more subscriptions, I can show a lot of interest and I can give my maximum effort to upload the further videos and give my classes in a crystal clear in the sense not visually but in a